Well, I think people must go to my show because it's not just a story that I've been told needs to be told, and that can connect to lots of different people, lots of different experiences. Um, but it's also a mission. So for as long as I perform my show, um, for my lifetime, for as long as I decide to perform it. Half of all the profits that would be made from this show are going to get donated to a mental health charity organization foundation that's doing really, really awesome and impactful and like meaningful work in the worlds of mental health awareness, suicide prevention, and overall mental wellness. And so for my debut at Fringe, and probably for the foreseeable future, or at least as of right now, I'm supporting the JED Foundation, JED Foundation, and they're a foundation that supports struggling teens and young adults who are struggling with mental health issues. So I think folks must see my show for the story that it is, but also to be a part of the mission, to be a part of the cause, to be a part of the storytelling heals movement in its very first hurrah, its very first foray into existence. Um, because they can make a direct impact not only on my life from supporting my show and seeing uh, seeing my show and hearing the story, uh, but also they can with the purchase of a ticket, they could uh, have a direct impact on somebody who really needs help um, in the movement as a whole. So yeah, I think it's very important. I think it's a very important thing that this story gets out there and this movement keeps moving and keeps growing. Greetings. My name is Christion Ty Edwards. My show is called The Sad Life of a Happy Man and it's debuting at this year's Hollywood Fringe Festival in June. If you'd like to hear more about it, continue on and listen to this talk. The idea behind The Sad Life of a Happy Man has been with me. It's been with me for a long time. Uh, So I've had the desire or the itch to scratch, if you will, to perform a solo show, a one-man show for a long time. I'd say at the very least, excuse me, I'd say at the very least when I was a freshman in college, uh, and then sort of through my life in college, I uh, while there were many great things that happened, I also struggled greatly with depression and anxiety, and also started going to therapy for the first time and learned a lot about myself and how to navigate the world. And my senior year was especially hard. My senior year was actually kind of hell. Uh, and during my senior year, I took an independent study with a professor I admire very much. And that independent study, and this is the story I tell everybody, that independent study went up in flames, ended in total disaster, just did not end well. But what came out of it was the very first edition, the very first draft of my show, The Sad Life of a Happy Man. Uh, and it was a one act version. I had written it as if I could clone myself, or just a bunch of different actors could play the different roles, but each of the different characters were written to be different pieces of me. They make up different pieces of who I am. Um, yeah, and I think in the moment, pretty much, I kind of thought to myself, yeah, I'm going to turn this into a solo show one day. Um, and so it kind of sat fallow until 2020. And then when we were in quarantine, uh, yeah, a friend of mine back here from DC, the DC area, was doing an online intensive on creating your own solo show, kind of from start to finish, the whole writing to performing, producing, all that stuff. Um, and it kind of happened at the perfect time. And I was like, I think this needs to, I think this needs to finally go somewhere. Um, and in a time where we were, I think, getting to reflect on a lot individually and personally and collectively as a nation and as a world, um, it just felt like, okay, this is the time for this to come to life. And so, like, yeah, so there was a part of me that just had to dive in. The play really is about five different pieces of myself kind of coming to terms with each other. Um, so if we had to label a protagonist or a main character, that character is called the man, and we're seeing the man's journey from the start of the show to the end of the show. And the man has given himself the task to create a piece of art, whatever that turns out to be. And the other parts of him that are in the show, and the other parts of me, other than the man, are the artist, the fraud, the clown, and the human being. And so, and exploring how each of those characters are different from each other and how they do different things from each other. Um, and so, if the man can create a piece of art without the artist, without, the fraud needing to, you know, uh, serve his purpose and just other stuff like that, um, then he knows that he's meant for something. His life has purpose, um, and he's racing a clock. And if that clock runs out and he can't create anything in that time, um, then his life ends. Um, so it kind of weaves and navigates through different moments of that. Uh, and it's an interesting thing to write a show that takes place inside your own mind. So can get a little wild at times. But yeah, that's sort of the main sort of the main journey that we take and that we see being taken in this show. I wanted that's another interesting question that I constantly ask myself, why bring this show to the Hollywood Fringe? Why debut it? Why premiere it at the Hollywood Fringe? Sometimes I don't I'm not I how do I say this? I'm not regretting it at all, but there are definitely times where I'm like, why did I choose this specific this specific event? Because it's hard. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work to do any sort of fringe festival or to tour any show, especially when like me, I'm coming from the complete opposite side of the country, and having to stay out there for a month and figure all that out to do it. But honestly, it just felt right, just felt correct. It felt like uh, I don't know, hearing so many other people in my community, my solo theater community, talk about their experiences at Hollywood Fringe and being able to get through it and say that they did it, and to be a part of that whole experience that is only growing year after year. I don't know, there was always something really, really exciting and compelling that drew me to that. Um, yeah, and I guess there was also a part of me that wanted to do it in the Hollywood Fringe because it wasn't the East Coast. Um, there's a lot of this whole process and what the show is about. One of the main things that is included is this idea of fear, right? Fear of lots of things. Um, but I guess it also did actually come out of a part of me that was afraid to do it here first. And so wanting to do it in a place that was not as familiar to me, to an audience that is out there, and to and with people who I really love and admire who are out in Los Angeles and who are a part of this solo community and a part of the Hollywood Fringe community. Um, to kind of have that be the first step. And then maybe that would give me the courage to bring it back to the East Coast, which I do plan to do. But yeah, it always just kind of it always felt right. It just felt like the move. I just felt called to do it. I think what I want the audience to most get out of my play is to get to get a glimpse of even just a glimpse or a glimmer, a even a slight feeling of what it's like uh, to be someone who gets very lost, and to see at least a little bit of how that journey can feel through theater, and what that can look like even on the inside through theater, um, and to people who perhaps are on or have been on a similar journey to mine with their mental health, with their feelings about their purpose, their existence, their meaning, um, their worthiness, their self-love, their lack of self-love, whatever it might be. Um, those who see a bit of their story, or at least something they can connect to in that way in this show. Um, a reminder, or perhaps the very first lesson ever to them, that they are not alone, that they are not the only ones who feel that way, and that a lot of healing, at the end of the day, a lot of healing can come from exploring your emotions and exploring your own story. A lot of healing can come from storytelling. There's a whole sort of movement I'm doing with this show called the Storytelling Heals movement. Um, and it's very much in its infancy right now. Excuse me. But it's about, uh, but at its core, it's about, healing ourselves and perhaps healing the world by using story and through story, and just how powerful that can be. Um, so yeah, I want folks to know perhaps a little bit of what it's like, and other folks to know, um, that, yeah, they're not alone, and they're not the only ones who feel this, um, and that whatever sort of situation they might be in terms of how they're feeling, where their life is, that is not a permanent, like, stop. That is just a that is just a another, even if it's huge, it's just another stop on the journey, on the big road trip of life, um, and that there's more to come, and that, um, they can make it to the other side. The thing I'm most looking forward to when performing at the Hollywood Fringe, two things immediately jump to mind. The first thing is, one, just being in that community, and being in the Hollywood Fringe community, and being in Los Angeles, and being amongst my Soaring solo community, of fellow solo artists, um, to receive to receive my story. I think for the first time, I've only ever done this show in terms of a virtual reading, and then sharing just pieces or snapshots of it at various events. Um, but to have the full thing fully realized for the first time, and to share that with those people who are very special to me, um, and in a city that I've kind of admired and have wondered about and have wanted to dive into and visit, my entire life. There's something very exciting and perhaps magical about that. And then I also am looking forward to just knowing what it feels like to be on the other side of this journey, to finally do it. And then when I get to the curtain call and the show is done, even after the first time, uh, yeah, what does being on the other side feel like? Will I be fulfilled? Will I only want to do more? Will I be unsatisfied? You know, what will that be? So I think I'm looking forward to feeling what that will feel like. Folks should experience the whole Hollywood Fringe Festival, because one, there's a little bit of everything for anyone. Whatever kind of theater you might have a desire to go see, it's probably going to be there. It's probably going to be there, and you're going to get to see folks from all across the country, perhaps even the world. I know of at least one or a few folks coming from the United Kingdom to go perform at the Hollywood Fringe. So it's quite literally a global event, with a global draw, with stories that are probably as diverse as you can get. And in a time where things are really, really weird for the entertainment and performance industry, the acting industry, the film, TV, and theater industry, still, um, it's a very accessible way to see live performance. And probably, most likely, a much more affordable option for many folks, say, than if you were going to see a Broadway show, or perhaps even a show at the Mark Taper Forum in Los Angeles. Um, yeah, so it's very diverse, it's global, and it's very accessible, or at least, as far as I can tell, like, as accessible as you can get. Um, so yeah, it's a really, really wonderful thing. And if it's there, I mean, yeah, folks should absolutely take advantage of it, see as much. see as much theater as they can. In any, especially in an event like Hollywood Fringe, any sort of touring show, anything like that, an out of towner coming in to a community to put on anything, any sort of production. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of dedication, and the reality is it takes a lot of money. And so, being a professional working artist, money is not the most copious thing all the time. So I rely heavily, greatly on the generous gifts that are given to me by the folks that I'm connected with and that I get connected with through the work that I do to get this campaign out there. If it were not for the funds that I've collected and the generous people who want to be a part of the Storytelling Heals movement and the mission and to support the cause, and help me support the Jed Foundation and to keep this thing going, for a lifetime, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it without the generous giving of family, of friends, of complete strangers, of organizations. Yeah, it simply wouldn't happen. Um, and so for all the folks who have donated, who have given a gift and who will continue to, and who want to be a part of the cause and a part of the mission, part of the movement. Yeah, I can only be eternally grateful. But yeah, short answer is if people don't help or give, it simply doesn't happen. I am currently trying to raise funds for this production. Actually, as of time of recording, the actual deadline is June 2nd. June 2nd is my opening night, the Hollywood Fringe, the debut of the show. So yeah, I'm going to extend it through then and to keep pushing for the fundraising. And that's to continue with the costs and things that are happening with the show right now for this Hollywood Fringe Festival. But it is also for potential future things and where it'll go next. It'll go to reimbursing my team and the folks who are helping me bring this show to life. And the other costs that are going to just come in with me having to be in Los Angeles for a little over a month, being from out of town. So yeah, that's still going on. I guess I will just add to kind of round out what's already been said. When it comes to the Hollywood Fringe Festival, it is such a unique experience. Many diverse voices many diverse voices coming to the stage and bringing their stories to life and doing the very brave and vulnerable thing of, uh, yeah, putting on a show. Many of these shows are happening for the very first time. And so they're sharing quite literally, from my view, pieces of their soul. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm doing. I'm sharing a piece of my soul with whoever decides to come and see it. And I hope many folks do come and see it. I hope many folks see all the different other shows as well. Um, I There's a part of me that really wants this Hollywood Fringe to be the most successful it's ever been because I think story and the impact and the power of story is needed more than ever today. Um, and I think my show can at least be a little shred of that. Um, and I keep being told that it can, it's a that it can move people. And so I think I have to finally have the security in myself to believe that. My name is Christion Ty Edwards. My show is called The Sad Life of a Happy Man. I'll be at the Hollywood Fringe Festival in June on June 2nd, June 11th, and June 17th. I would love to see any and all of y'all there. And remember that you're not only supporting me when you come see the show, you're supporting the Jed Foundation, you're supporting the Storytelling Heals movement, you're becoming a part of the movement for mental health awareness, suicide prevention, and making a difference in the lives of those who are struggling and most often struggling in silence. And you're supporting the Hollywood Fringe Festival at large, something that is truly, truly unique and inspiring and exciting, that deserves to keep going for as long as it can keep going for. So yeah, I would be truly honored. I'd be truly honored to see all y'all in the audience.